yes, it's time now for another episode of Mr. Nailsin's Wednesday Comics. And going to take a dip back into revisiting Green Goblin stories. Even though the Green Goblin does not appear in this issue, at least not in costume. It's been a pretty lackluster week of comics. I do have a few new comics to acknowledge, and I'll do that at the end of the video. But thought I'd get back into this and almost pass this over, but then again remembered that this particular character of Robot Master, better known as Mendel Strom, was a key factor in the Green Goblin story. So basically, it's the cover. Once upon a time, there was a robot. And well, this is interesting. This is your typical looking robot death machine type thing. And then there's this snot monster trying to drag Spider-Man into a roaring fire. Kind of ahead of its time if you think about it. I mean, this is kind of like something today would be, oh yeah, it's a robot, but it's like nanotechnology or something, But anywho, so the opening page is the title page and all that stuff. And oh man, that's embarrassing. How'd that get on there? So anyway, it gives you one of these displays of the cast of characters. There's Matches Malone. No, that's Foswell in his disguise. I believe that's Flash Thompson. This is Mendel Strom's idiot stooge. There's his weird robots. Gwen Stacy, there she is, still pining away over Peter Parker. Jay Jonah, and well, there's Foswell. Or is that might be Harry? Maybe that's representing Harry there. And then there's Norman Osborn, better known as the Green Goblin. So basically opens up here where Strom has been in prison. So behind the cold, clammy, confining walls of state prison, a voice utters 6 welcome words. Professor Strom, your sentence is over. At last, I'm free. You've been a model prisoner for 10 years. Good luck on the outside, Professor. Thanks. Boy, looks like Professor X, only, he frowns a lot. Sure, I've been a model prisoner. I've done nothing but plan my revenge all that time. Then no sooner does Professor Strom put the iron gates behind him when, glad to see you, Strom. I got everything all set like you wanted. Do not forget yourself, Max. You will always address me as Professor. Oh, boy. But other eyes observed the fateful meeting, the eyes of an ex-con turned reporter named Foswell. I knew my old cellmate would be getting out today. He's being picked up by another ex-inmate named Max Young. They must have made some plans while in prison. I wonder if he's still as hungry for revenge as ever. They're heading for town. I'd better follow. There may be a story in it for me. That guy watching the professor must be a stoolie. The Proffel will be grateful to me that I wing him. However, before a shot can be fired, whoa there, sonny boy, in case you don't know it, this is a no-noise zone. Spider-Man! Oh, and I wanted it to be a surprise. Okay, talk. Why'd you try to ventilate Foswell? I said talk. Well, I'm sure there's a lengthy explanation, but copyright and everything, we'll have to skip a lot. So anyway, Flash gets mad at Peter, what have you. Come on, put up your hands. Oh, if only I dared. Just once. What? With my spider strength, I'm liable to accidentally hurt him, no matter how careful I am. Sorry, Flash, I can't let you do it. If you damaged my profile, half the girls at ESU would be heartbroken. We can't let that happen. You yellow fink! I knew you'd chicken out.
Oh, let him go, Flash.
Okay, doll, but if he bothers you again, just let me know.
I'd bet my bottom dollar that Peter Parker wasn't the least bit scared of Flash.
I saw what happened, Gwen. Parker gives me a swift pain, too.
Oh, you haven't any use for anyone who's smarter than you are, Harry. Peter's never bothered you. What's the matter with me? I'm actually starting to defend him.
Boy, the unpopularity ever became... What? If unpopularity ever became popular, I'd be top man around here. Then, as the class ends, remember to stay out of my way from now on, Parker. You bet I will. For all I know, your stupidity might be catching. Meanwhile, there's a snot matcher. But while Peter revels in his merry campus social life, we rejoin Professor Strom once more, just as Max returns. It's finished, Max. What do you think of my little beauty? It moves by itself. It grabbed me. Of course. I willed it to. Do not worry, Max. I can mentally control its every action. It has passed every test perfectly. And best of all, I can electronically follow its every move. Watch. Well, again, you'll have to pick up this issue to see how it works. It goes off on a crime spree and whatnot, and Spider-Man attacks it, so... it worked. The Inferno is affecting it. It's releasing its hold on me. And not a minute too soon. Now, I'd better get out fast before the entire building collapses. But I'd sure like to have learned more about that robot. Well, I've got a hunch this isn't the last I've seen of it. Look, it's Spider-Man. Say, he must have started the fire. Could be. Later, back at the sinister sanctum of Professor Strom, my first robot has served its purpose admirably. But it is now useless because, it's all burned up. However, my second one is far stronger. Well, maybe you should have started with that one. Shut up! And as you can see, I've equipped it with a remote-controlled destruction beam. We should have it all assembled and ready for operation within the hour. You sure weren't kidding about that revenge kick of yours, huh, Professor? Professor Strom never kids. This blow jar is utterly useless for me. Guess I'll throw it away. So anyway, now we've got a small-scale surprise for you. Remember Harry Osborn, one of Peter Parker's nastier schoolmates? I don't get it, Dad. Why would Spider-Man try to burn down your plant? Don't believe everything you hear, Harry. It wasn't Spider-Man. Someone else was behind this. But who? None of your blasted business. I can't tell the kid how I cheated Professor Strom out of his inventions and then railroaded him into jail when he began to threaten me. It has to be Strom who's after me. See? The guilty sweat drops. Wouldn't it be something if Spider-Man is trying to work a protection racket? Harry, don't you ever shut up! So, they got a great father and son relationship. I'm sure, it'll all work out eventually. So anyway, we skip ahead. Fallswell in his disguise and Spider-Man get trapped and all this stuff. But anyway, I was a fool to let him trap me this way. We'll never break out. Sure we will. We're the good guys, aren't we? This air shaft is just what we need. Have no fear, Spidey is here. It's open at the top. I can get out easy enough, and you'll be okay for a while. What are you gonna do? I'm off to catch me a robot. Meanwhile, grab that gun your ex-playmate dropped. I've got to latch on to that walking pile of nuts and bolts before it does any damage. And with my little Spidey tracer zeroing me in, it can't take more than a few minutes. While on the other side of the thick cement wall, forget about Spider-Man and that unimportant snooper. My moment of revenge is again at hand. I must concentrate on keeping my robot under perfect control.
Okay.
So it's scene switching time again. Crash. I have returned again, Osborn. Surely you remember my threat. No, wait! Don't do it! Oh, let's talk it over! It's too late for talk, my scheming ex-partner. I've waited too long for this treasured moment. But you can't get away with it. They'll catch you, send you back to prison. Let them. Who cares what happens to a robot? This is kind of similar to a much later scene. Not entirely, but when the Hobgoblin smashes through Harry Osborn's office window. Yeah. See? I doubt that was in the thinking, though. But I just did. So anyway, the robot tries to kill Norman, And now there's no need for haste. First, I'll ruin you financially by destroying everything which is of value to you. I can't let him do it. I outsmarted him once. I've got to do it again. I suggest you move aside, Osborn. I want to save you for the last. You may occupy your time by pleading for mercy if you'd like. He won't try to harm me yet. That means I'm safe. For a while. Now I know what to do. I don't know. He looked like he really wanted to take you out there. Well, all right. Anyway, and at that moment in the best superhero tradition, in comes Spidey. Spider-Man! Wow, looks like I'm just in time. How about that? This one could talk. Why did he have to butt in now? If he defeats the robot, it could ruin my plan to get rid of Strom forever. See, already suspicious. He doesn't like Spider-Man, even though he's trying to save his life and all that. So, hey, what's up with that? Now, this won't be easy. I couldn't even budge him, and I don't like the looks of that beam shooting out towards me. Spider-Man should have known better than to butt into something that doesn't concern him. Yep, there's his butt. I hope that robot finishes him off. He's becoming too dangerous to my plans. Gee, Norman, what does that mean? Well, it's already established he's obviously a corrupt gentleman, and he screwed over this Strom guy, so much so that the guy wants to utterly destroy him. So, but still, later on, it'll all make sense in later issues, Spoiler, he's Green Goblin. So anyway, wait, where are you running off to? Nothing for me to do here. You can look after things now. Later, at the Osborn residence. Dad, Mr. Jameson is here. He has some good news for you. I know. I heard it on the radio. They called Professor Strom. He was found dead. Yeah, he got shot mysteriously. I wonder who did that. I felt it was my duty as a fellow club member to tell you that you're safe now. That crooked ex-partner of yours was to blame for those attacks, but he can't bother you anymore. The poor devil. I had forgotten all about him. Well, it seems he didn't forget about you. He must have planned to get revenge on you all the years he was in prison. Some people can never be reformed, like that blasted Spider-Man. I guess you're right. Nice of you to come here, Jonah. I appreciate it. You know me, I'm all hard. See you at the club, Norman. But when Norman Osborn is finally alone, he returns to his dark and menacing thoughts. Spider-Man almost ruined everything for me, but it won't happen again. Now that his suspicions have been aroused, he must be disposed of. Hey, what are you rubbing that rifle for? Oh, that's the gun that killed Strom. Anyway, in another section of the city, I couldn't have imagined it. There was someone at the window with a gun. Hi, Parker. Feel like some bowling? We can use another man.
He's ignoring us.
Boy, how stuck up can you get? He's a big snob as everyone says he is. But that could be another answer. What if I'm losing my spider sense? It could mean the beginning of the end for Spider-Man. I'd better not even think about it. But I am thinking about it. I've already thought about it. No. So he's too good for us, huh? Guys like him don't want to know anybody. They'd rather go around without a care in the wild. End. So anyway, this is a Green Goblin story of sorts. It's just no one realized it at the time because Norman Osborn doesn't appear as Green Goblin. And at the time, readers didn't realize he was. Although, in some of the, this is from Marvel Tales when they reprinted all these. And they printed the letters in reaction to the very issue that was there. And someone already figured it out that Norman Osborn, and it wasn't a whole lot of evidence at the time yet, but they said, and then the editor, right, you're right. So spoiled the whole thing right there, you know, so. But anyway, that was the deal. And then later on, when he reveals himself to Spider-Man, he explains the whole Strom thing. And then Robot Master came along later on in Peter Parker's Spectacular Spider-Man. That was actually the first time I had heard of him. And then reading back to the, Marvel Tales reprints and whatnot, caught up on this story. And so on and so forth. But it's a lot of characters involved in weaving in this story concerning probably the most, serious supervillain in the Spider-Man mythos. Yeah. So anyway, there you go. That's caught up with the Green Goblin story this round. He'll be in full costume for the next Spider-Man versus Green Goblin adventure. Finally, real quickly, I will discuss the few new comic books that I read. And the best of the batch was the Jay Garrick The Flash #4, where they pretty much detailed the whole story for Dr. Elemental, and I obviously they're severely retroactively changing the story of Green Lantern and the Alan Scott version, having him solicit prostitutes and everything. But here they're also rewriting the Jay Garrick story in that this villain is responsible for him getting his Flash powers, and also his daughter, who is also a shoehorn retcon character, but amazingly enough works out through the narrative. This is a pretty nice little series, and again, these spinoffs of Justice Society are much better than the actual Justice Society, with the exception of the Green Lantern series. Sandman's really good too. I don't know how much of a retcon of the Sandman origins because not exactly as familiar with its original story as I am with the Flash, but nevertheless, it's not too big of a deal. It's just this figure plays into it and his whole story. No, he didn't burn his face or nothing. He was just a Doctor Doom fan. But anyway, so far so good. It's a good little series. I would have thought it would be over by now. I thought this was just a mini-series, but there's another issue along the way. But it's good, and I've enjoyed it, and I do recommend it. Following that was Green Lantern War Journal. It's not bad. It just wasn't as exciting to me as The Flash. This one, it's kind of slow going to get to its point. There's still, the sad, tragic story about his mother, and so there's more details of that. But it looks like he's finally got his strange team here of alternate universe versions of his old, not him, this is a totally new guy, but a alternate universe Kyle Rayner, who appears to be little more than a ghost and might just be a figment of Green Lantern energy, as this has been going on. Both John Stewart and Hal Jordan have been conjuring up, facsimiles of departed friends throughout this story. but here he's got to deal with the, well, the space zombies. Would have thought they were a version of the Black Lanterns, but since this involves an entity from a parallel universe, another multiverse thing, I guess they're slightly different. But nevertheless, that's the case of what John Stewart's got to do. And then you got this guy who was trained by the alternate John Stewart and saw him as a great man and hero. Had doubts about this John Stewart, but is now beginning to see the similarities between them and how this man could become that great hero and all that sort of stuff. So it's all right, but the Flash is better, and but we'll see where it goes. But I mean, it's 5 issues in, and it's slow going. Well, that plus it had a start in the Green Lantern as a backup story, so it's like, boy, you've had a lot of time to get this thing going. But anyway, there is a certain overbearing element of sadness, more so than the Hal Jordan story, because it's his mother and his sister had passed away and all this stuff. And so that's going to hang over the story as well, and quite haunting. So anyway, the other one, the least of the batch, Marvel Superhero Secret Wars Battle World, which is only to celebrate, 40 years of the original Secret Wars, which was a great series and what really got me into being a serious comic book addict. I'd had a handful of comics up to that point, but then the whole Spider-Man's black suit thing happened, and I wonder what this is about. So I said, Secret Wars, and I had to jump in on that. And then eventually the first time I ordered back issues was to catch up on this series and all of that. The only other, I don't know if there have been others, but I do recall, and this is years ago, a Thor issue that did an untold tale of the Secret Wars about what went on between him and the Enchantress. And it worked. It was fine. This thing is an ongoing series that takes place between 2 panels in issue 12 of Secret Wars, where Spider-Man went off by himself to get a snack and supposedly had this otherworldly adventure in between, which I'm guessing they'll just have it where his memories were erased or something. Along with all these other characters. The only one who was involved in the Secret Wars with Spider-Man and the Human Torch was Crusher Creel here. These other villains were never there, but now they're being brought in by some other mysterious figures, which I'm guessing are the other Beyonders they've later on created when there was really only one. But they call him the Defected One. And then, interestingly enough, the Hobgoblin shows up, and for Spider-Man, the Hobgoblin story seemingly reached a teased ending. It really wasn't, right before he got whisked away to the Secret Wars, and then he caught up with him later. But Hobgoblin himself was not there. Interesting enough, again, with the Beyonder's powers, Green Goblin could have been there because he could easily pluck him from time or resurrect him or whatever. But anyway, to have him show up on another planet and fight Spider-Man is, well, the only way it works is if none of them remember this happened. But it's just done in celebration of the anniversary. I understand that, but it's just too silly. And can't really recommend it. I like DeFalco. He usually does pretty good work, and the art's good, reminiscent of the era. But I'll stick with it because I'm a sucker for Secret Wars stuff. But that's really the only reason to check it out. It's not woke or anything, so there's that. But you need a little more than that. As for Secret Wars itself, this is just an image from online I got, but nevertheless, also in celebration of the 40-year anniversary, they're re-releasing Secret Wars in facsimile form, meaning it's an exact copy of what the Secret Wars series looked like. All the old ads and everything are in it. So, if you want to experience it as it was back in 1984, this is your chance to do so. I did buy myself a copy, and I guess I'll buy them all. What the hell? It's brand spanking new and clear and stuff. But anyway, it was a monumental series for me personally. Young Doug being, oh wow, oh they got taken to another planet and stuff. And look who's there, the original first female Captain Marvel, huh? All the way back in the dark ages of 1984 when things weren't diverse in Marvel. Oh, look who else. Yeah. Plus, that's not Tony Stark in the armor. No, that's a black man in that armor. So anyway, it was a good romp, and there's been other Secret Wars since, but none of them really compare, I don't think, to this. And done just to sell toys, but was a pretty cool narrative in and of itself. And actually, Doctor Doom becomes the main star of the series. I just really liked it. I was quite taken with it. I mean, it's simplistic in a lot of ways, but also complex. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Anywho, there you go. Secret Wars. Maybe I'll do a series of videos on that like I'm doing on Green Goblin and go in depth on Secret Wars. And of course, yes, there's the 40th anniversary, but there's also the upcoming, supposedly, if the MCU can survive long enough to get to it, a Secret Wars movie, which sadly I don't think will borrow much from the original series. I'm sure there'll be nods to it and whatnot, but it'll be more, I think, of the multiverse shenanigans of the Hickman story they did. What was that, 2009? Man, has it been that long? I think. Which was cool. It was interesting. It wasn't bad. And there were some spinoffs that were actually pretty good too. But then after that, Marvel pretty much has been dead ever since. There's little bright spots here and there, but anyway. But this was a moment when it was probably in its golden age. Stories like this. So anyway, there you go. If you want to relive Secret Wars or experience it the way it was meant to be for the first time, you can check out these facsimile editions of Secret Wars.